What is up, budding students of the classics? My name is Wyatt Roder, and welcome to ScholaLatinae. Today, I am here as a part of future videos that will appear on this platform to introduce to you Greek and Roman civilization. But first, a bit about me. I have recently graduated from Rossview High School in Clarksville, Tennessee. I played Kurtaman, a classically based quiz bowl game, for about 3 years, and I'm going on to become a classics major at Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. So let's get started. Geographically, Greek and Roman civilization originated in different areas of the Mediterranean Sea, literally meaning the sea between the lands, medius middle, terra, land. Specifically, Greek civilization originated about 1600 BCE in an area of the Mediterranean called the Aegean Sea, like this map on my wall shows. The Aegean Sea was apparently named for the mythological father of Theseus, whose name was Aegeus. Aegeus plummeted into the sea, giving it his name. On the other hand, Roman civilization originated centuries later in about the 8th century BCE, according to popular tradition. This was in an area called Latium, which is about halfway down the so-called boot of Italy. While videos on ScholaLatinae will mainly focus on aspects of Greek and Roman civilization, it is very important to note that these civilizations were not at all as homogeneous as the simple terms Greek and Roman seem to suggest. For example, Greek civilization was rather a conglomeration of a lot of different tribes and city-states, all of which had their own distinct identities and traditions. At the same time, Roman civilization derives its name from the city of Rome, which was just that, a singular city. As the Roman state expanded, it conquered and assimilated various peoples, including the Greeks, owing much of its cultural foundation to such peoples. So, with that basis having been established, let's look at some areas of exploration in ancient Mediterranean civilization. One area of study that people love to explore when engaging with the classics is history, cause we got observe how civilization developed through domestic and external interactions, like how the Roman state evolved through internal strife, and how the various outside forces, the Parthians, the Gauls, compelled the Roman state to change. We also got character studies of historical figures. What impact did people such as Caesar and Constantine have on their contemporary societies, and what does that tell us? We have lessons we can derive from the past. History does indeed repeat itself, and historical legacies. Modern societies are still abounding in influences from the ancient world, whether it be our forms of government, many of which have classical precedent, or simply the big rocks and stuff that ancient civilizations had scattered throughout Europe, which are now being repurposed today. And of course, interesting stories, a horse senator, attacks on urine, and many brutal and ironic deaths for our favorite historical figures. Those of you who are zealous of the word may be compelled to study classical literature. As you study literature from our past, you will learn the roots of the Western literary tradition and expand your understanding of writing's influence on many different cultures. You will also unveil a vast corpus of philosophy, stories, poems, and historical documents that will enrich your understanding of ancient culture. The specific styles and attitudes of authors from the ancient history will offer opportunities for introspection into what conditions in society produce the different opinions and perspectives of writers, and how their subsequent works exact their own influence. Exposure to the masterpieces of literature, such as the Republic, Aeneid, Odyssey, and Metamorphoses, may also inspire your own writing, in addition to revealing the inspirations for colossal literary figures such as Dante and Shakespeare. The study of literature also deals with questions of preservation of information throughout time. You may learn to appreciate the intricacies of the material facets of literature, such as the literal substances which compose manuscripts that have ensured the past still has reach to teach us today. There is also much to be learned from the everyday cultural practices of the Greeks and Romans. Did you know that the Romans had a festival in which they spit beans about and walked barefoot throughout their house to banish the unhappy spirits of the dead? You do now, and you can learn more. In fact, the Romans and the Greeks had numerous festivals incorporating a bunch of cool traditions, all of which reveal much about their values and the values of human society as a whole, like the return of light as the winter days at last begin to lengthen, commemorated by the Roman Saturnalia, or the worship of ancestors, as in the Parentalia festival. Of course, there are also the forms of art and expression practiced by the Greeks and the Romans. There's opportunity to learn how classical architecture evolved into those aspects of it, which are widely imitated today, as famously seen in the Lincoln Monument and the U.S. Capitol building. We can also learn from the relationships among people in ancient society. What was it like to be a slave, and how did the institution of slavery influence the ancient world? What was it like to be a farmer, or a sailor, or a matron, or a gladiator, and how did all of these roles and more form the fabric of ancient society? There is ancient medical practice to explore too, such as the enduring Hippocratic Oath, the development of which can teach us much about modern society, as modern society continues to strive forward in enhancing the quality of the human experience. And of course, there are the ways the language melded with culture to form the unique identities of Latin and Greek, both of which have gone on to have immense impact on Germanic and Romance languages today. And finally, for today, there is the realm of mythology and religion, constituting the explanations that the ancients turned to so as to understand the world around them. The civilizations of the ancient Greeks and Romans indeed shared a basic mythological tradition, originally revolving around the worship of figures like Hermes, Poseidon, and Zeus. So mythology thus wove its way into everyday life and literature, especially where mythological subjects became the basis for universally known works like the Aeneid and the Iliad. Classical poetry and drama abound in mythological subjects as well, a characteristic which has been heavily continued in later poetry, making knowledge of mythology key to be truly immersed in classical and classically inspired literature. At the same time, different regions of the ancient world prided themselves on specific myths explaining their origin and customs, allowing us to observe the aforementioned distinct identities of certain cities and peoples. An exploration of ancient belief in the Mediterranean, of course, entails the study of Christianity and its rise, as the Roman Empire eventually became the device for its spread and influence. But so too are other belief systems the subject of study, such as the cult of Mithras, Manichaeism, and variants of Gnostic Christianity and Near East religion. And then, of course, the study of ancient myth and religion simply proffers us with interesting tales of love, deception, hubris, and more, the strange and wondrous nature of which continues to entertain and inspire today. And now we come to the end of the video. But I leave you with this nice visual which makes an important point. Despite all the categorizations of study I've just made, literature, history, mythology, culture, and language, they're all best understood in the context of each other, and any civilization cannot be perceived in whole, independent of any of these major facets. Though it sounds like there's mythology to study, there's literature to study, really there's everything to study and understand together. And I encourage you, as you explore the classics, to embrace everything so as to enrich your learning and appreciation for what they have to offer. So, with that having been said, that is the end of the introduction to Roman and Greek civilization with Wyatt Roder. Stay tuned for future ScholaLatinae videos. Thank you.